Hey, can a foreigner register a company in Kenya? Well, that is the question that I'll be answering in this video. And so if this happens to be the very first time that you're watching me, my name is Wachira Joseph. I run a firm called Clear Tax Consultancy, and here we help business people register and formalize their businesses and also structure them in a way that they are paying as little taxes as is legally possible. Now, I wanted to share with you my experience registering companies on behalf of foreigners here in Kenya so that you can avoid falling into the pitfalls that others have found themselves into, but also so that you can have a fantastic launch into this wonderful country called Kenya. So drop everything that you're doing, come closer now, because you're watching my tax advisor. So question number one, can a foreigner really register a company in Kenya? And the answer is yes. And you can do this entirely online. You only need a passport, and you can open and register your company as the sole shareholder and the sole director. And the exciting thing is you even don't have to travel to Kenya to register a company here, as all the registrations are done online. So you only need to fill the required forms, submit them to the company registrar, then the company registrar reviews them, and if they're satisfied, then the company gets approved and it's registered just like that. The next question is, can I set up a branch instead of a totally independent new company in Kenya? And the answer is yes. Now, let me explain to you the difference. Now, there are people who prefer to extend their operations in Kenya. So they have companies set up elsewhere in the world. So what they are looking to do is just to set up a satellite office in Kenya. So the branch becomes the satellite establishment in Kenya. So you can choose to do that. It is legally possible. Or there are those that just want to make sure that the company they're starting here is not affiliated with any other company, and by doing so they want to open an entirely new company here in Kenya. So it's up to you, but legally it is possible, and you can choose whichever type that you want to do. The next question is, what is the minimum capital requirement to register a company in Kenya? Well, that will depend entirely on the type of business that you want to conduct. But for the small companies that are setting up, the minimum requirement is usually 100,000 shillings. That is an equivalent of around $1,000. But if you want to invest in some capital intensive projects, let's say you want to invest in real estate, or you want to invest in energy sector, or let's say mining sector, then surely the capital requirement for those industries is going to be higher a bit. But for your ordinary company, then 100,000 shillings is the minimum capital that you need. Next question. Will I be required to maintain a physical address in Kenya? The answer is yes. Just like any other country in the world, you'll be required to maintain a physical address here in Kenya. And the purposes of this address is so that if the government wanted to serve you, then they would serve you through that address. Or if the company house wanted to communicate with you, they would communicate with you through that physical address. Now, here's the best part. You even don't need to get a physical address here per se, because you can get a virtual office. And the virtual office allows you now to use the business address of the provider as your personal or your company business address. So you will need to shop around. There are some providers like Regus, and of course they cost money. They charge monthly fees. So you need to shop around and look for the best deals for that. Next question is, does owning a company in Kenya make me a Kenyan resident? And you guessed it right, not yet. I mean, if you still want to come into the country and do business from the country or invest from inside Kenya, then you will need to get a permit. We call them work permit or investor permits. So, and there are different categories depending on what you're investing in, the industry you are investing in, and so on and so forth. So I'll be doing a detailed video about work permits later. So make sure your notifications are enabled so that you can see that when I post. But for this video, I wanted to handle just the basic of the work permit. So yeah, be sure that you'll need to have a permit to migrate here and start doing businesses here in Kenya. Now, if you're not ready to move here and start doing business from here, you can find a local representative to help you do that. And the local representative now would be like your manager here, and they will be in charge of managing your business here, but you still remain the directorship. You're still the director of that company. Okay? The next question is, I've registered my company. Can I now start doing business with it almost immediately? And you guessed it right, not yet. Why? Because there's still one more thing that is remaining, and that is the tax pin. Well, what is the tax pin? It's what you call the tax ID. Here in Kenya, we call them the KRA pins. Now, the KRA pins, you get them from the Kenya Revenue Authority. And you need this pin for almost everything. You cannot get a county permit to start operating within different county government without a tax pin. You also need it to open a bank account. Okay? Now, for the tax pin, you'll need the pin for the director and the pin for the company. Now, you cannot get the pin for the company without getting the pin for the director. So start with getting the pin for the director and then get the pin for the company. And on a side note, it's quite a lengthy process to get KRA pins right now because of the requirement, but it's something that is still achievable and something that you can get within a reasonable time. Now, that takes me to the next question. And the next question is, can I open a bank account remotely for my company? And again, that depends with the bank that you want to open an account with. Now, for the most banks, they demand that you must be physically present in their bank to open an account with them. But for a few banks, like the bank that we've partnered with, they allow you to appoint a local representative. Then the local representative will get the forms from them, fills the form for you, then they send the form to you for signing. Then after you've signed the form, you send them back to them in Kenya, they submit them to the bank, and then your company bank account is created. Now, the next question. How are foreign-owned companies taxed in Kenya? And again, that will depend with the company that you've registered. But fast forward, if you're registered as a company or as a branch, then the branches pay 37.5% in Kenya as we speak, as at the time of recording this video. But that rate is changing from January 2024 to 30%. If it is an entirely independent company that is resident in Kenya, then that is taxed at the rate of 30%. But there are other incentives that are usually given to different industry participants. So again, that will depend with where you're investing. For instance, the investors in exports business, the first 10 years they enjoy a tax holiday. It's tax free. If you go to real estate investor, and especially a residential real estate investor, currently they are paying a tax of 10%. And from January 2024, that rate is going to go down to 7.5. So again, it depends with the industry that you want to invest in. So look around and see whether there are any incentives into the industry that you want to invest in. And the next question is, well, Joseph, how long does it take to register a company in Kenya? Well, it's very fast here in Kenya because it takes between 5 to 10 working days. However, if there are some corrections that need to be done, the company registrar will always send them back and ask you to correct ABCD. And then once you've corrected that and then you submit to them, then they'll have a review and they can approve that. So that will depend again with whether you're going to have correction suggestions or not. But on average, 5 to 10 days and your company is registered. And now my final thoughts. If you've made it to this end, congratulations. And if you're considering setting up your company in Kenya, Kenya is such a wonderful country to operate in. Fantastic people, very skilled workforce, and actually a very fantastic base to extend to the rest of the African markets. And now if you'd want to work with me, I'd be glad to register your business here in Kenya and also to help you structure it so that you are taking advantage of different tax incentives available to the industry that you want to invest in. And as a welcome bonus, because you found this channel and you've watched this video to the end, I'm going to give you a 10% discount on all the services and all the offers that you'll find on our website, and the link to that is in the description section. So head over right there, see what package works for you, and at the checkout use this coupon code, my tax advisor, and just like that you're going to enjoy 10% discount. Till next time, I wish you all the best doing your business in Kenya. Joseph out.